Okay, so it's probably just because I've been binge watching Caleb Hammer videos. I'm like obsessed with those right now. But recently I've been thinking about how our education system does very little to teach young people today the ins and outs of personal finance. And it really bothers me because so many people are entering the workforce and starting to make money for the first time with really no direction from a financial management perspective. In fact, according to a survey done by CNBC, 61% of young adults are not saving for retirement every month. And honestly, I think a big reason for that is that they're not taught about it. They're just not thinking about it. And I think some people also have a sense that they have a lot of time to prepare for retirement, so they don't feel a sense of urgency and they just continue to push it off. And again, my negative outlook here is probably just because I'm binge watching Dave Ramsey and Caleb Hammer videos, but so many people are digging them into holes they can't get out of by buying cars they can't afford, racking up credit card debt, or just borrowing too much for college to get a job that doesn't justify the amount they took out in loans. But here's the good news. The concepts of personal finance really are not that complicated. In my opinion, 90% of personal finance is your behavior and establishing strong habits early on in your life. And over time, those habits will start to build on each other. And if you take it slowly, one step at a time, one day you'll wake up and realize that you're sitting on a sizable amount of wealth and that you've set up a pretty good life for yourself. But before you do that, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button as well. So stay tuned to hear 4 financial habits that you must develop in your 20s in order to excel at personal finance. But anyway, habit number 1 is paying attention to your finances and budgeting. I think the biggest issue for a lot of people in their 20s is that they're just not paying attention to their money. And I think this can be for a couple reasons. I think some people just aren't aware of how to manage their money, so that's why they're not paying attention to it. But I feel like a lot of people feel stress surrounding their finances. They feel pressure paying their bills every month. And because of that, they like to avoid looking at the actual situation. They don't want to face it. But either way, it's not acceptable as hard as it is. If you're not actively looking at and tracking your financial situation, you're just opening the door for something or someone to come in and just clean you out financially. And typically we see this when people don't budget and then they let small recurring purchases or habits rack up and just eat away at their bank account. Do you ever feel like you're doing super well financially, but then at the end of the month, you're not really paying attention and you wonder, where did all my money go? Well, to keep it simple, it's because you're not keeping track of your spending and you're not setting a budget. And the great news is that you have no excuse because keeping track of your finances is easier today than it's ever been before. There are tons of free apps and websites out there that will connect directly to your bank accounts and credit cards and track your purchases for you. It'll even give you a categorized summary of where you spent your money every month. So there's no reason why you should at least be tracking where your money's going at the end of the month. And that's a good place to start, but hopefully your budgeting habits get more proactive as you're made aware of what your spending habits actually are. You'll be able to take that data and then make a plan at the beginning of the month on where you want to actually spend your money. And over time, this is going to become automatic as you learn what works best for you. And once you actually start paying attention and you know where your money's going, your income's going to open up to investing and other opportunities that you didn't even know were possible before. And speaking of investing, that's the next habit that we're going to talk about. And this is probably the part I'm most excited about. A question that I see come up a lot goes something like this. Connor, I just came into a lump sum of money. For this example, let's say it's $10,000. What should I do with it or where should I invest it? And my answer may surprise you. My response would be that it actually doesn't really matter what you do with it. And that's because the actual habit of investing regularly is going to benefit you way more than one individual investment ever will. Okay, sure, if someone gives you hundreds of thousands of dollars, then that question may be valid, but you get the point. And that's not to say $10,000 is not a lot of money, because that's a good chunk of change, don't get me wrong. I'd be super excited if I just ran into $10,000. And if you ever run into any lump sum of cash, your goal should be to manage your wealth. Again, I just want to get the point across that it's the habit of investing that's going to allow you to build substantial wealth over time. And if you've never invested a penny in your life, it's okay to feel overwhelmed and it's okay to start small. Just start by investing $100 a month or less if $100 makes you feel uncomfortable. As you start to learn what you're doing and you start to become more comfortable with the process, start to increase that amount. I promise that eventually you'll be hooked and you're going to want to start investing as much as you can every month. Now, eventually you're going to want to get to the point where you're investing at least 15% of your income towards your retirement every month. And that's really common advice among a lot of people who make personal finance content. But honestly, that number scares me a little bit and I don't think it's quite enough. I think if you can push that up to 20% of your income every month, you're going to be even better off for it. Obviously, anything you put on top of that would be even better. And another point, if you have a job that offers this, the easiest way to build the habit of investing is to enroll in your company's 401k program, which is essentially a tax-advantaged retirement account that's offered by your employer. And the best thing about the 401k is that contributions are automatically deducted from your paycheck, so you won't even have to think about investing this money. It just happens for you. The money never even hits your bank account, so you won't have a chance to spend it. If you don't have access to a 401k, you're gonna have to do a little more work on your end. But don't worry, because it's really not that hard or complicated. You can utilize other types of accounts to fund your retirement, like a Roth IRA, and the same guidelines of investing 15 to 20% of your income for retirement still apply. So if you max out that IRA before getting to 15%, make sure you find other places that you can invest in your retirement. All right, now this next one is gonna seem obvious, but if you haven't noticed this already, you're gonna soon realize that most people have horrible habits when it comes to this. But please, 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 get in the habit of using cash to pay for things. And no, I don't mean actual physical paper cash. I just mean use money you actually have out of your bank account. In other words, never take out debt to pay for consumer goods or items. Of course, some debt is fine if you're looking to buy a house and take out a mortgage. And I also reference this a lot in my videos, but if you're purchasing a car, I'm also okay with the 28-3 principle that the Money Guy show teaches. If you're not familiar with that, make sure you look it up. But today we see so many people utilizing credit cards and buy now, pay later services to fund a lifestyle that they can't afford. According to Bankrate, 17% of consumers utilized buy now, pay later to buy something in 2021. And that may not sound like a lot, but that means that almost every 1 in 5 people that you see walking down the street have used buy now, pay later. And credit cards and buy now, pay later are dangerous for 2 reasons. They encourage people to get trapped into debt and run up balances that they cannot afford to pay off. And once they're trapped in that debt, the interest rates are extremely high at 20% or higher, making them some of the most predatory interest rates in the industry. Buy now, pay later loans are similar, where if you don't make those first payments and pay the item off, you're gonna be hit with very high interest consumer debt. But the second reason they're dangerous, even if you pay off your credit card balance in full, or even if you pay off the buy now, pay later item in full on time, these purchasing methods still encourage you to spend more money than you would normally. These businesses are not in this for the good of their heart. Buy now, pay later services are there to incentivize people to actually check out and purchase the item. Because when people have to spend their own money, a lot of times they back out from the deal because they realize they can't afford it or they don't want it that bad. Banks spend a ton of money researching ways to lessen the burden of a purchase. And that's why buy now, pay later was invented in the first place. Both buy now, pay later and credit cards just take away the pain you feel when that money's actually leaving your bank account as soon as you make the purchase, resulting in you spending more money. So just be careful. And just to be clear, I'm not saying to never use credit cards. I'm not fully anti-credit card. I have them and I use them. You just have to be really careful. Make sure you're setting a budget every month and make sure you're not letting them actually increase your spending habits. But I would avoid using buy now, pay later at all costs. If you can't afford the item right then, in full, then don't buy it. It's that simple. And the other thing that's critical is that you should hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I'll wait. Okay, thank you. All right, now that I'm done plugging my channel, I'm gonna talk about the last habit for this video, which is please just get in the habit of living below your means. Another obvious one, right? Well, apparently it's not that obvious because according to CNBC, 60% of Americans currently live paycheck to paycheck, which means they're spending everything and they have nothing left over at the end of the month. And this is a really dangerous way to live because not only does this mean you're not investing or saving anything, but if you're spending everything you make, you have nothing set aside for an emergency. If you get a surprise bill for $1,000, you're screwed. According to The Motley Fool, 2 out of every 3 Americans cannot cover a $500 emergency. And to me, that's absolutely terrifying. And this might just be me, but I feel like an emergency this size happens like once a month. And that might just be me being dramatic, but I feel like that's how it goes. But that's why you should get in the habit of being frugal and just living below your means. And it's important to do this while you're young so you don't get accustomed to living a lifestyle you can't afford, because it's always so much harder to go back. The good news is that if you're proactive and you've already adopted the habits we've talked about, like budgeting and investing, then you're already living below your means. And I also just want to be clear, I'm not telling you to never have fun. The reason we work hard and have goals is so that we can build the life we want to. You should definitely treat yourself, take fun trips, do nice things for your loved ones. Just make sure you're being proactive about budgeting for these things so that while you're having fun and enjoying your life, you're also paying for all your necessities and investing for your future. Life is meant to be enjoyed. Just do it the right way. But overall, I hope each of these topics just taught you how simple personal finance is. It can really just be summarized as paying attention, taking a few small steps to be proactive about your planning and your investing, and just going out of your way to make sure you're not spending too much on certain items. If you do that and you're able to maximize your budget, maximize your spending, and maximize your investing, then you're gonna build an awesome life. And again, you're gonna find yourself pretty wealthy. But that's gonna do it for this video. Let me know if you like videos like this because there's definitely a lot more that we can talk about these habits or other habits. If you disagreed with anything I said in this video, make sure you leave it down in the comments. I wanna see it and I wanna hear it. If you like this video, make sure you like it. And again, I would really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel. Thanks, everyone.